I was no Marie Antoinette. That's what Imelda Marcos, the former First Lady of the Philippines, told us a little over a week ago. That was the second time this summer we visited her in Hawaii. In her first American television interview, the only one she's given since she and her husband fled their country, we talked about secret bank accounts, multi-million-dollar shopping sprees, her famous 3,000 pairs of shoes, and about Corazon Aquino, the woman who toppled her husband. One of the first things we found out was that even without a crowd to listen, she still can't resist a piano and a microphone.
I want to ride through the reach where the west commences. Takes out a moon till I lose my senses. Can't look ahead as I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in, oh baby, don't you fence me in.
The size of the audience isn't all that's changed. These days, Imelda Marcos receives her guests in an ordinary three-bedroom house on the beach in Honolulu. The palace guards have been replaced by watchmen in jeans. The faithful bring handouts of fruit and vegetables, gratefully accepted by the former First Lady, who wears her professed new poverty like a badge of honor.
Thank you so much.
Let's clear this up. How much money do the Marcoses have?
This I know now. We don't have money. We have never been as deprived as in our lives as now.
We heard there were 10 to 15 Swiss bank accounts.
I wish it was true.
No money in Swiss
I
bank
have
accounts.
no money right now.
But in Swiss bank accounts, frozen or unfrozen?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of.
Let me show you what we were given by the head of the commission investigating your wealth. It's a contract with a Swiss credit bank, and you have a false name there, Jane Ryan, that you can sign.
This is what they've been looking at. It looks like this has been a forgery.
This is a forgery.
Yes,
But whatever Mrs. Marcos says, investigators for the Philippine government say this document, and dozens of others taken from the palace vault, prove that the Marcoses had more than 15 accounts in 6 different Swiss banks, with total assets of more than $1 billion. Though the money is frozen now, and Mrs. Marcos complains bitterly that she and her husband are reduced to paupers. It's a long way from the days Imelda Marcos was a power to be reckoned with in the Philippines. She held the titles Governor of Metropolitan Manila and Minister of Human Settlements. She controlled a lot of government jobs and government money. As for her money and her taste, by now almost everybody's heard about the opulent bedroom, decorated in the style of Marie Antoinette. Not to mention the row after row of expensive dresses and the famous shoes. Nearly 3,000 pairs of them.
I have no weakness for shoes. I wear very simple shoes, which are palm shoes. It is not one of my weaknesses.
That's what she told us the first time we saw her. She said that the 3,000 pairs of shoes now in the Palace Museum belong not just to her, but to her daughters and the maids and the nurses at the palace. So when we stopped by on our way back from Manila, we asked her if she and the maids and the nurses all wore the same size. But they're all size 8.5.
No. No.
That's what they say at the palace.
No, we have to look at that. I am positive of this. I am sure there has been a lot of tampering, just like what they did with our documents. There was a lot of tampering on our papers. For that matter, I'm only 8.5, only about a year ago. I used to be 7, size 7. So if it is all 8.5, that's a little questionable. I'm sure I don't have 3,000 pairs.
But let me ask you about another one of these then. The reports say that in 90 days, in 1983, you spent $7 million. Such things as a $100,000 emerald diamond and ruby necklace, a $560,000 worth of antiques, $208,000 emerald and diamond bracelet.
It seemed, again, the perception was I was buying all of these things. But I had a friend, a lady friend, who owns the biggest department store in our country. that was not only shopping for me, but shopping for her jewelry shop, shopping for the entire department store.
But some people in the Philippines say Imelda couldn't tell the difference between her personal desires and the public need, though she continues to insist that she's just been misunderstood. For instance, she wants everyone to know that her 11-carat engagement ring was bought by her husband long before he became president. And she says there must be some confusion about those buildings in Manhattan that 2 New York real estate brokers say they bought for her. She says all she wanted was some rental space to show off Filipino handicrafts. And most of all, she says, people don't understand that she needs to be surrounded by beautiful things.
I was no Marie Antoinette. I was not born to nobility, but I had a human right to nobility.
Do you think you've been judged by an unfair standard?
Oh yes, for the simple reason that they don't know my beginnings.
What do you mean?
They don't realize that I come from a third world country and come from a third-class province.
And your family?
The family was prominent, but I was a poor relation. And if you want to know deprivation, be a poor relation. It's no sin to look beautiful. It's no sin.
Do you think there's a racial component in this?
I see in the different magazines and American papers, fashion magazine and all of that, you see beautiful homes, beautiful cars, beautiful dresses, beautiful jewelry, beautiful everything. But it seems to be so accepted, and it is a reach for everyone. You see Dynasty, you see Dallas, and you see all of these beautiful women and beautiful people. And if it is for the white, it is correct. But if it is someone who comes from a third world country like me, who has a skin colored brown, it does not seem right. And yet it is a basic human right to reach for excellence, for life, for love and beauty and God.
During our first visit to Honolulu, the former president decided to drop in while his wife talked to 60 Minutes associate producer Chris Whipple. Mr. Marcos often lapsed into silence and stared off into the distance. She said she had opposed the snap election, the one that ultimately forced them out of power. He says now that he should have listened to her.
I was against it, and probably it was an error for me to have impulsively called a snap election, not because of the results, because I won the election, but because of the fact that it released certain animosities. Okay, I think you can handle it from here. I'll see you then. Thank you very much.
While the former president says he spends most of his time these days with his lawyers, a lot of other people say he's busily plotting against the current government in the Philippines and the person he and Mrs. Marcos think stole their country from them, the other woman, the current president, Cory Aquino. During the campaign, Mrs. Marcos had criticized Mrs. Aquino's looks and her clothes. We showed Mrs. Marcos a videotape of what President Aquino said to us about that now.
I pitied her that she was still too concerned about the non-essentials. And I just disregarded it. I said, when you are living in a country where millions are unemployed, where millions are hungry, and you still worry about the kind of makeup or the kind of hairstyle that you would like to be seen in, then it's just too bad that she never realized what her obligations were.
Oh my God. I'm so sad about that thing. I never did talk to her. I never said anything about her looks. I said something about what I said for myself. I just don't like yellow because it reminds me of a lemon and jaundice.
What is the scene that you most miss seeing in the Philippines?
It's not the scene that I am nostalgic about my country. It is the smile of the people. I want them to smile again. I want them to be happy again. I want them to have a human face. I want them to have dignity that they so deserve as human beings. Sorry. We are made to look like criminals. How can she moralize when the foundation of her leadership is vindictiveness, hate, and deceit?
Imelda Marcos thinks that someday Cory Aquino will be thrown out of power. She told us she believes that trouble in the Philippines will force Ronald Reagan to support a coup. And then, she said, the Marcoses can pack their bags for home. And as we were leaving, the former First Lady stopped to tell me one more thing. She said, when I look at my husband, I weep inside because he's like a little teddy bear who tried to do what the Americans wanted. And now, she said, that the teddy bear's ears are worn and his fur is tattered, the Americans who loved him have thrown him away.
One time in unison, a group of us said to him, "What do you think? How will history judge you?" And his answer was, "History is not yet done with me."
After we filmed this story, Mrs. Marcos telephoned us and said she had been asked to lend her name to a line of shoe stores. If she does, she says, the profits will go to a human rights foundation. As for our asking how much money she's got, she said, if you know how much money you've got, you probably haven't got much.